happy, very expressive with the eyes. Content. Something's going on, Tony. I think we're live right now.
We might be.
All right. All right.
Hello, everybody in Facebook Live Land. We are the Podguyz Podcast, bringing it to you live as we do 10:15 Eastern Standard Time every Monday, like clockwork. We're on time today.
On time.
I'm Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, we have the ever-loving Picasso, the dreamer of all that is colorful, and the doer of all things non-diddied.
He's the undiddler.
He's the undiddler. Le Sparky.
And Sparky's got his big board right there for our viewing audience. Sparky does like to draw what we are talking about in depth, in detail. We have our guest on today, Ben Garcia. Now, Ben, if you are curious of what Sparky's drawing, if you wanted to put the four, do you have the 4 block up there or no? Do you have all 4 of us on here?
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you'll be able to see Sparky's amazing artwork done on the spot. It's kind of a gimmick that Sparky does, but he does add in a key factor into the show. Ben Garcia, though, guys. Ben Garcia, musician, rock and roll, country, acoustics,
bluegrass,
folk,
hip hop.
Are you bluegrass? It should be bluegrass, though, right?
It depends on. I was somebody like in Colorado, you tell everybody you're bluegrass during the summer so you can get booked as shows, and in the winter, folk, so you get booked as shows, and so you're inside or outside. But we get labeled everything, so it's all good. So
I was watching some of Ben's YouTube, on channel, and just checking them out. And God, there was that one song. You were in your living room. Where is it? Where are you here? You're in your living room. It was something you were just playing around with. Here it is. It's called Little Something. Okay. Yeah. And I liked it better and made it kind of bluegrassy by going twice the speed of what it would normally be.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
No, but you're smart because when we recorded it, we put a banjo on it. So
you put a banjo. I knew it. You got to put a banjo on that. I've done music years and years and years ago. I'd never got along with people though, because if I write something so specific, I spend months and months on a song. Just play it the way I wrote it. And people like to call you an asshole and what? Well, they called me an asshole, anyways, and they might be right. But I got it at double the speed.
Yeah.
And I thought it sounded so much. I'm like, oh my God, even if you wanted to go double the speed on the background and go 1.5 the speed on the lyrics and like string out some like a Guthrie type of, ending towards the rhymes. Yeah. I mean, it's got that real soulful bluegrassy feel all around.
Got a good gristle to it.
A lot of gristle, a lot of grit, a lot of good stuff there, man. Yeah. No problem. But how long have
Ben, why don't you talk to us about your newest release, of course, Sweet and True.
Yeah, it came out last Friday and it's doing better than any of my other songs we've ever released. So super stoked about that. And we've made a couple videos for it. So we upped the production and recording and changed a bunch of things of how we were writing songs and layering songs. That song has, I think, 8 different musicians on it, or different like instruments on it. So it's got a different, fuller sound that we wanted to do. And I think that's why it's doing better than any song I've released so far. So
now, would you say that's more contemporary country, or would you say it's
that one definitely is a country song for sure. I wanted that song to sound like a Waylon song, like it was Waylon coming at you and giving you what it is, and so it's a song about, like, I don't know what you guys do for a living, but if you've ever had a job with a shovel and had a manual labor job, that's what that song's written about, where you're sweating it out all day through the week, trying to get to the weekend and just be with your wife or your girlfriend. Mostly those jobs you get when you have girlfriends, and you're just going through that, get through the week to get something on the weekend going. That's not work, is what I wrote that song about. And I really
Waylon Jennings' most famous quote to Buddy Holly is, "Fuck you, buddy. Hope your plane crashes." After missing Yeah, it's true. There was a coin flip.
True.
Yeah,
there was a coin flip between who gets to ride in the death plane, and Buddy Holly won the coin flip. And Buddy Holly, being kind of cocky, says, "Hey, Waylon, too bad you lost. Tough luck." And he taps him on the shoulder. He says, "Buddy, fuck you. I hope your plane crashes." And then, and then it did.
Man, the best Waylon quote ever, if you have your phone up, is what he said about Garth Brooks. That's the best one he ever did. If you want to pull that one up,
I will be pulling it up right now. He said,
"Devin, can we play a game to say this is a quote from Waylon Jennings?"
That would.
I don't know, man. Waylon, he said some stuff. I don't think he wanted to play that game.
He said some messed up stuff, but we're gonna play this game.
Yeah.
Listen, we've played a game before of Who Said It, and we used a very evil person historically known, and then someone who wasn't evil, a very well-known actor.
With Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. Like, who said it? Hitler or, and no one was getting it because it was, anyways, Waylon Jennings and Garth Brooks were not close, with Jennings expressing strong negative opinions about Brooks and his music. Jennings viewed Brooks' music as lacking substance and insincere, seeing his rise to fame as a result of luck rather than talent. Brooks, on the other hand, acknowledged Jennings, maintained a respectful stance, recognizing Jennings as a legend in the industry. Criticized Brooks. I guess he basically said that he was just not. He was more of an actor.
That's not it. No, that's not it. No, it's about nylons, and so it's a pretty good one. When you find it, you'll see it. The grin on your face, we'll all know you found it. And
so the thing is, Garth Brooks also had a. Did he have Chris Grimes? Wasn't that a thing?
Ego.
That was an
alter ego.
You shouldn't have alter egos.
Yeah.
All right. This is what I like about you. What you get is what you see, and what you see is what you get, sort of thing. You don't have a different guy that you're doing on the side, are you? Like a different persona? No, you don't. Yeah, no. You shouldn't have a punk rock version of Ben Garcia. You just have.
No, there's a rap version of Ben Garcia, though.
Is there really?
Double Ben Garcia.
You draw on like a teardrop tattoo here. You got a fucking gold grill in.
You don't. No, I would not.
No, it's not a classy look, right?
Yeah. It's what you see is what you get, man. And so, yeah. It's something he said, something like Garth Brooks is the country as pantyhose. It's something along that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
that's what it was.
Okay. What pantyhose did to finger fucking? Okay, I see it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the
Garth Brooks did for country music. Yes. All right. So
let's get into that.
I don't even know if that's. First of all, I don't even know if that's an insult because you save the smell. There's a smell sometimes with. Garth Brooks basically took Garth Brooks basically took the same style that George Strait had, and he's openly admitted it. Applied it to modern 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and added some fun sing-along choruses like "I've Got Friends in Low Places" as a nice sing-along. The Dance is another Garth Brooks hit right there. And then we wanted.
I mean, he
didn't write. No, you're right. He did not write any of those. Correct.
The thing with Garth is great till he hit a point, and then the ego got so big is what happened. The balloon exploded. And that's where it was that. Then that's where he got the alter ego.
The balloon exploded when the Chris Grimes thing came out. That's when you're like, he left his wife and kids or something like that. He's banging around with Trisha Yearwood, and the Chris Grimes thing, of course. Normally, when you hit a peak area, whether you be an athlete or an actor, you have a good 7 years if you're good enough to have a really good 7 years. Any more than 7 years, you're just hanging on to people's nostalgia of what used to be.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, I use as a constant example. Like after Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks was just Tom Hanks playing a guy.
Man, I don't know, because Captain Phillips, I thought he did good in that movie. That was a legit movie.
Yeah, but I know he's Tom Hanks. You kind of get when you're introduced to a character and you forget that it's an actor playing that character. That's what I mean.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. The same. Well, because I think of like, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when he did Big, like when that movie came out, and then he did like Bachelor Party was a great movie of his too.
Correct.
But then he did that turn with Forrest Gump. And then, what's the one with the volleyball with Wilson where he's
Castaway. But we know, but hold on, we know that's Tom Hanks. We know that's Helen Hunt. You're like, how is he's hanging out with Helen Hunt?
Yeah.
Are they gonna make him have sex with Helen Hunt? Oh God. And then they make him fuck a ball instead. Where he's like, Wilson! Weird enough, it was going to be a Spalding ball, but his wife's last name is Wilson in reality. And he wanted her to her family to get the money off, but that's not true. That's not true at all. But it's just that was like a weird movie. But I think everyone was wanting it because Survivor, remembers the TV series Survivor? Around that time that first came out, so it was like a niche. It was like a nice gimmick where a popular trending thing to have somebody on an island and try to survive. They did reality show and they're like, what if we could kind of control this and throw lovable Tom Hanks on the island?
Yeah, I see what you're saying in that.
The Toy Story, he played Woody's voice in Toy Story, Tim Allen, opposite of Tim Allen, but they're not on screen and we don't really see the actors being themselves or whatever because they are, inside of, they're Pixar or whatever.
Yeah.
But Sparky's got something there on the big board. Sparky, what's going on your big board right there? Here you go, Garth. Take the glasses before you go on the plane. Hold on. I am getting is Miley's nylons from Billy Ray. Oh, gross.
Perfect.
Very gross there, Sparky. So, Ben, who were your musical influences before you decided to really start going at music like full time? Before you even learned an instrument, who was the band and or solo artist that you said to yourself, wow, I want to be something like that idea?
Yeah, mine was because I started playing shows when I was 15, and I started touring around that same time. And mine would have been like Pearl Jam for sure. Chains. Soundgarden was a huge one. That scene was so good, and just it was so many layers of instruments that were so talented. And these guys weren't just guys like, it got called like garage grunge, and those but they were talented players. Like Mike McCready from Pearl Jam was a prodigy of Stevie Ray Vaughan, so those players, and like Kim from Soundgarden was just unreal in the drop tunings he was doing. So those were in a collection of a blender of music I was listening to at the time of Clapton, and Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, all those guys were.
Well, even before that, it was Temple of the Dog, wasn't it?
Temple of the Dog was where I got hooked. That's where I got hooked on it. That Hunger Strike when it came out, and like one of my bands I was in, I named after a Temple of the Dog song, nice. And so we named it Porcelain Mary, which was a Chris Cornell line in a song. But I loved all that music, and it just hit me at that age. Your mind is just such a sponge to music and to thoughts and ideas, and so I really got into that. But I had parents that were that listened to a lot of music from the 60s and 70s, so I was listening to that at the same time, and that really, and then a lot of blues. I listened to a lot of blues before that with those two, but they were all, the thing with grunge is it mixed everything. It mixed blues, it mixed folk, it mixed, in my mind, that was the first mix of Led Zeppelin 2. It would have been like take 2.0, with them doing what Led Zeppelin and Kiss and those guys did too. So that was really my influence at that time when I started.
So you were very heavy into the grunge, the alternative, music lifestyle. What made you go into country?
Yeah, mine was well, there's hints of it in grunge, because Neil Young brought so much of that in, on Old Man, that's got a banjo in it. We were talking about the banjo earlier. That's James Taylor playing on it. So I kind of came into the country side of stuff through the folk side of, back, not new age country, but back country, so older country. And then when I was in college, I went to college in an agriculture town and worked at a farm store, and it was on all the time. So that was my real introduction from post grunge into country was that.
Yeah. So even like you bring up Neil Young's song "Down by the River."
Yeah.
You could give that to any alt band right now, and it's still going to sound outstanding.
Oh, like Cowgirl in the Sand's another one. I mean, you could go through all Old Man. You could go through all of them. That his stuff has been priceless in there.
Now, Neil Young, as far as I think he got himself in the political arena again during the Joe Rogan stuff, where you know, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You know, the only thing I had trouble with was 70-year-old man actually sitting and listening to a podcast that is over 3 hours long. I'm like, there's no way, you know, like I had to take breaks, you know, while watching that episode. I was like, all right, let's see what the hype's about.
Yeah, I doubt he watched it. I'm sure.
Yeah, like, so yeah, that's like me having like opinions about his music and never listening to it.
Right.
It's disingenuous at best, but I'm still a Neil Young fan. I like his music. It's good stuff. Right. If you want a shortcut for Neil Young, just buy the greatest hits. You know, you got a lot of mud in the middle, and and
the 80s were not good to him. The 80s were not a good period for him.
Keep on Rocking the Free World. Was that 80s or 79?
I think that was 70s, because in the 80s he went a little bit more digital. He had the neon glasses and everything. I mean, he may have done Keep Rocking the Free World. That might have been like 82, 83. I don't remember when he did that, but you know, I mean, like Harvest and all those albums are so good. He came out, you know, later 80s is when he started getting really good. You know, I mean, back at it a little bit, went back to acoustic. But to get to your question, so like I got into college and I was in a rural town, and it was an ag town, and really got introduced to modern country then. And then just, I would say like there's so many styles to country music. A lot of it's regional, you know, where you're from and what you're at. And I would say mine comes in at a folk level first, and then from there layers on top of there. But I definitely don't think I'm new age country in any way. You know,
no. I mean, you can see even artists later on in their careers, like a Bob Dylan kind of went in a country fashion. Here, I remember meeting Bob Dylan, and he had a big, about 5'5", big cowboy hat, and he takes his hat off. Yeah, there's a hint of resin and body odor in the air. You know, like that blend. Like if Febreze made a spray, you'd be like, well, you guys smell a little bit. You know that, right? You know, but he just got done up Montage, and we had backstage passes and that to meet him. Very quiet spoken. You tell he was exhausted. So I didn't want to say like, this is before, you know, people are taking selfies with everybody. I don't want an autograph of somebody like, hey, by the way, could you write your name down? Could you do that? It's like, dude, why are you trying to commit identity theft? Is this what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it would smell like the Gwyneth Paltrow candle.
Oh, the Goop, where she
candle.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
That one, yeah.
We were on that the years and years and years ago. Tony could not stop reminiscing about Goop, and only thing is because it had to be a hell of a time at the research and development lab, where she's there, spread eagle, queefing in the air. The scientists are trying to get it close, you know, like doing the comparison and all that.
I think you spent too much time thinking about this candle compared to probably what.
Absolutely. But Ben, with your music,
it smells like a steamed roast beef sandwich.
Yeah, we just went to Arby's. We just went to Arby's. We just went to Arby's one day, and we're like, you know, this is it. we went to Arby's one day. We forgot that we ordered it. We found it in a bag. We threw it in a microwave for about 12 minutes, opened it up, and there you go.
Is that brisket? No.
I would say Gwyneth Paltrow is the smartest person in this room, because we're still talking about it 5 years later.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere you got to give her credit for being a great businesswoman.
Yeah. I mean, I would just, if I was Gwyneth Paltrow, I'd take it those scents that go queef in the room. Do that with your vagina, you know, smell. Just do the thing. But Ben, getting back to your music real quick, the thing I don't see you doing, and it's a compliment. The thing I don't see you doing with country music is I don't see you limiting your wheelhouse of songwriting. Okay, because if you know what I mean by that, a lot of country music singers, they're talking religion, they're talking family, they're talking, love found, love lost, love found again. We've all seen that kind of trope. I don't see you doing that kind of stuff.
My dog.
Yeah, I don't see you doing that kind of stuff. So what I'm getting at is, I'm guessing you are a nonstop writer.
Yeah, I write a lot. I write a lot, and I observe even more. That's the bigger thing, is how you observe, because that leads to what you write, if you're observing the right things, and the other thing is, my musical tastes are everywhere, so maybe one day I go down a rabbit hole where I'm wanting to listen to Bob Marley or Jimmy Cliff, or maybe the next day I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to Leadbelly all day, so out of that, you're taking that blender of that mix of that's where that Americana title comes into that music of ours sometimes too, because it's got a mix of so much in there, man. Like, I may make it sound like country, but I may be taking riffs or ideas or song patterns from rap, or I may be taking it from the blues.
I was gonna say that that very much happens, where you're getting into not to say the rinse, wash, repeat of country music, but you want to add different things to it. You want to add different flavors.
Yeah. I think if you care about being true to yourself, you do that. I think if you're wanting to be popular, you're going the other route, which is fine. I mean, that's somebody's art. I'm not here to criticize somebody's art, but just for me, I don't sit down and think I'm going to write a country song. I come down with a thought I have out of my brain of what I want to write about, and then let it go.
Have you stomped on your own hopes and dreams of you're like, oh man, I got this great, let's say like a Bob Marley part, where you're like, oh man, this is gonna be great, and then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, that ain't gonna work for me.
Okay. I did a podcast last night, and they're like, what advice would you give kids? I'm like, write everything, because you're gonna write one good song for 30 shitty songs. And
that's God, yeah.
And you got to be honest with yourself of like, this sucks. This is not a good song. And then those things happen, and then you don't know.
Is there one song that the crowd didn't get and you knew it was amazing and the crowd was to blame?
Oh, no, never. I think it was probably a shitty song to start
Sometimes with. The crowd's to blame, Ben. What I'm saying.
Well, you could. I mean, I've played shows where just people aren't feeling what I'm playing. That's the reality of it.
Saying you have 6 shows in a row.
Yeah.
5 of the crowds in a row are not digging the song. But you said, they're a bunch of idiots in these 5 crowds in a row. Yeah, but then crowd six gets it. They love it. And you're like, I fucking knew it. Eureka. We found one.
I don't have those moments compared to usually if 5 of them don't like it, I'm taking note pretty heavy on that, and so I mean, I could always hold on to it. I can play it for myself later or go back and work on it. But generally, you can watch, when I'm playing a show, I watch toe taps. People are tapping their toes or nodding their head and enjoying it. That's a good measure to me of that song. Because you don't know, man, they could be there on their first date with somebody, you don't know what they're talking to that person about or what they're doing, so. Did
you ever stop and ask them if they were on their first date?
No, I didn't. And so
I would, why not? You'd ask them, be like, hey, are you on your first date? Well, hold on. If you are, well, I got a song for you. And then you play them the fucking song, like that. Yeah. They can get ready.
Yeah. I think I'll let them decide on what they're going to do that night.
No, I hear you. No, you can let them. You can set the mood, though.
Yeah.
Get out Kenny G with his clarinet and shit. Start playing along.
Every song I'm playing.
You know who likes to set the mood a lot? Sparky.
Yeah.
Sparky is a mood setter. New Madonna's Candle with a touch of Bob Dylan. It's called Bobbin' on Madonna. Oh god, I like the hat you put on Bob Dylan right there. And for our non-viewing audience, it's the normal
Abe Lincoln top hat.
So Ben is going to be in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Are you excited about that?
That's going to be a fun one. So I've not played Cheyenne, and it's with a really great artist coming out of Texas who's from Colorado originally, but moved down to Texas. So
I think you're going to be delightfully surprised with Cheyenne, Wyoming. Wyoming is known for its low population, but with the lack of quantity, you get a higher quality of person there, honestly. There are people that are going to be at your concert, and they are all about the music 100%. If you've ever played shows and you sell out, but here you got 200 people there at your show, and half of them are talking and half of them are cheering, and you're like, why did half of you even fucking come here? Why are half of you even here? What are you doing?
We found out that this winter when we went up north. We did Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Salt Lake, and Colorado, but nobody goes up there in the winter because it's so cold, and we trucked through it. But like, they were attentive and wanted something because nobody goes up there, and you're right, like
they're so thankful for entertainment.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they care about it. I mean, they don't. That's what they've got to look forward to that week when you're ranching and you're doing things that are, like we were talking about earlier. When you're in a truck checking cows all day, that's something to look forward to, and it really matters to you. And so I think that's it. I don't know, but that's probably why you see churches more popular in rural areas like that too, because you're not overstimulated by the rest of the world. That's your family coming back together. That's a beautiful thing. Your family.
Yeah, we have some churches here in Pennsylvania that are still more than holding on. The building structures are just very beautiful. We have one downtown that me and my wife go to, St. John the Evangelist. And the message is all the same. The book hasn't changed. It's a book club, basically, that the book doesn't change in. But the outside, I used to do altar boy service for them for 5 years, and way back in the day. But the structure of the building just looks beautiful. It's got the stony kind of Gothic look. You could see the building for miles and miles and miles away. But when you get in there, it seats about 200. I'm doing like a head count from being doing entertainment for well over 22 years right now. And you ever do the head count in church where you're like, hold on now, it's Easter. I wonder what the take is here.
Yeah.
The basket's going around, you see everybody throwing in there. It's like $20 a head. And I'm trying to figure it out, and then I'm seeing who should.
You're doing the math at church.
I have to. It's just one of those things. So I see
another golden idol for the church.
I see a split between three people. The one guy is just sitting there, just like a fucking resting owl. Like you could, he's on stage and he's basically sleeping throughout the whole thing because he's so damn old, right? The other one, they gave all the speaking parts to with a very thick Indian accent. And I'm like, why do I feel like he's going to start asking me about my expired car warranty soon? Holy shit. Thicker than that, though. Like, I couldn't understand it, but everyone there was looking like, yeah, we know what you're saying. People were amening at the wrong time. That's how bad it was. He's like, oh, no, not yet. Anyways, Jesus. Yeah, he talks like fucking Galaxy Quest motherfuckers roaming around there. Anyways, and then there was a third one there, red hair, throwed out, right? He looked like he was kicked out of Dungeons and Dragons because he brought up Jesus too much. So out of this 3-person take, I'm like, you know what? This is about a $300 day for each one of them. Minimal,
This is an individual show by itself, by the way.
Yeah. Flip it around there, Sparky. What do we got going on?
It's the Irish incarnation of Bob Ross.
Meanwhile, in Montana, why does Bob Dylan sound so clear? Down with the oligarchy. What the hell?
Bernie Sanders, Coachella.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm on a new site right now. It's Ben Garcia Music. Ben, this website looks amazing. Did you do it yourself, or did somebody else help you with this?
We had somebody do it for us. So, I mean, we edited it, but yeah, we had somebody else design it for us.
No, it really looks good. The SEPA outline of the whole thing, the links are all popped up there. This is a nice flow to it all around. So Ben Garcia Music. I'm guessing BenGarcia.com was already taken, right?
I don't remember. I think maybe possibly there's a few Ben Garcias out there. I can't remember. We just added music on it so people knew where it was. It was to catch the algorithm too when you search it. So it kind of was.
Damn that Ben and
music.
Jerry.
Yeah,
Ben and Jerry.
Yeah.
The Lincoln, Cheyenne, Denver, Colorado. You're West Coast base. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Colorado right now. I'm home now. So yeah, I was in Texas 2 weeks ago. Then I'm home. I was in the studio this weekend. then I'm off, and then we go to the West Coast and do that whole Pacific West tour in July. So yeah.
No, Ben, you do have something coming on June 7th, right?
That's in Denver. Yeah, that's opening for Jared Morris. Yeah, so that's gonna be a great show to be home at. So yeah, and then the 14th I'm in Grand Junction, and then I got another show coming up after that out of town. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fly-in show. So
I like it. I'm like, didn't Colorado get super expensive or?
Man, it's pricey here for sure. Yeah. Well, all of it, because everybody moved during COVID out here, and everybody wanted land and to be rural, so that happened. And
yeah, you get more freedom. You get to smoke some weed and stuff, like
big one. That's a big one. Might be.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, Colorado set that up though. I mean, I think they did a good job on it. So all the money they tax off of marijuana goes to build schools in the rural areas of the state. So like it really, I think when they passed that law, I mean, whatever your views on marijuana is, the great thing about it is rural schools got a lot of money and got some really nice schools.
I like it. There's a place for it, for responsible smokers.
Yeah.
And then I could spot an irresponsible smoker all day. They're the people that stand in line in front of you at a gas station asking for different flavored blunts, in quantities. And then, they say, oh, no, I want that separate. And I want the beginning part on my food stamp card. And then all the blunts with my, can you break 100? And I'm like, what the fuck? I just need gas, you scumbag. Get the fuck out of my way. Why can't you, terrible thoughts get in your head. But that is an irresponsible smoker of marijuana. That is somebody that needs all the brain cells.
Yeah, I think the
quality one.
Yeah, the bigger one for I saw was they took them. I mean, all joking aside, they took the money for the weed, but they didn't do anything for mental health, and they coordinated together. I mean, we can joke about it all day, but the reality of it is a lot of people are seeking that because of mental health issues, and we weren't ready for that in this state. I think that was the bigger part of that they're be. I think it helps people get happy, real quick. And, they say it relieves anxiety. Anything that can relieve anxiety can also create anxiety. If you've ever, run into a friend who's just like, oh man, I just need to get high. And you're like, on what? What is making you react like this? And, it depends. No drug is taken out of that context, addiction's addiction. It doesn't matter what you're addicted to. I mean, you could be addicted to running and still doing it. It's a dopamine release of the brain, right? I mean, that's what addiction is. So it doesn't matter if it's chess, running, or drugs. You got to service the addiction. And that's what I mean by the mental health stuff wasn't in
marijuana though. I haven't smoked it in probably, I'd say 9 or 10 years now. And it was the easiest one to just not do. Just very easy. No withdrawal, really. Alcohol was tough. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 15, 16 years right now. So alcohol, when you go to a club and owner knows you, hey, you drink free tonight, that's your pay. For if you're doing like 15-minute spot for a 4:00 show in Manhattan, and hey, we can give you 5 beers and $20, whatever. That gets into a really tough spot where you're like, wow, all I seem to do is drink. That took some time to quit. Haven't drank in 6 years. Are you a drinker right now, Ben? Are you?
Well, yeah, but I'm not a big drinker, but like my friend gave me great advice when we started this back up again. He's like, have 1 beer a night. So it's either you're on stage or at the merch table, you have 1 beer a night, and then like my manager's theory on it is you're being interviewed by 300 people a night when you play a show, and when, so I go with that theory on. I mean, there's been nights I probably there was a night in Texas, I had a good crowd in there. They come to a lot of my shows and I got them playing and we had a great time, but I just, it was all in good fun. But yeah, I'm not a big drinker. I mean, I'll have a beer and a glass of wine or something, something like that. But man, I've watched this industry take people down my whole life. I've seen it bring a lot of people down and I think
a long shadowy road.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing is because you're being judged, and if you can't deal with that judgment and you have to drink away that judgment, that's where you get caught in music. If you have to, not be ready for, I mean, not everybody's going to like your jokes. Not everybody's going to like your songs. You know, I mean, any art you put out there, nobody's going to love it 100%. And you just kind of have to.
That door swings both ways, though, my friend, because if everybody loves it and they're like, here you go, time to celebrate.
Yeah.
Here's,
man, I mean, I had a life. I started playing bars when I was 15. I mean, I was very aware of coming, after, I mean, I took a 20-year break from all of this and came back, and it's like I was much wiser for the time than in my youth, is what I will say.
Do you like it more now than you did before?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, like, because before, you're like, you're 19 and you're at a bar, and like you said, they're paying you in drinks. You get whatever drinks you want. People are buying you drinks. It's a great time. You're just not in it. But yeah, I think to be at my age and doing it now is fantastic. I love it. I have a blast. I mean, but there's the ego's different at 19 compared to 46. I mean, the reflection of life's a little different and what you take for granted. Yeah, I mean, I still write about it a lot. I mean, like I write about stuff I did at those times and things that, things, basically I write a lot about how you hurt people when you're in that mindset, and when you're doing those things, not to get down on a show. You guys like to have fun, but there's a dark side of that, of how you treat people, when you're doing that. And that's a reality you have to face if you want to apologize to them and try to make amends with it. Part of it's just admitting it. You can laugh about it and admit it, but you also have to admit it to apologize.
Oh, man, you have to do that and able to move on and grow as a person, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be holier than thou. That's the stuff that I think it's like, that's the stuff that gets old to me, is when somebody thinks they're better than you because they made a decision differently than you. And it's, who cares what, I mean, like, it's,
well, I mean, in reality, in that moment, they were better than you, but, we're playing a game for a lifetime. So if you're, zoom in, congratulations for that moment. Yeah, you were better than me, but we got a long fucking road to go, man, before, you can't just hold on to that as a win and compare yourself to one person, because eventually if you start doing that, you start lowering the bar for your own expectations in life all around.
But man, I think comedy, I mean, I had a friend in college who became a comedian and he passed away from it. I mean, it got him, I mean, he kept that party going from college in his comedy, and it killed him, but I think comedy, to me, I don't know, I'm not a comic, but I think you have nothing to hide behind. It's you and a joke and a microphone, I mean, and that's a hard swing to take of creating stuff, and that's it. I would see where comedy may be a little different on drinking, with work, because you're going on at 1 a.m., you're going on 2 a.m., you're going, I mean, there's different times.
It's a weird industry where a lot of people hide their true emotions, and they can do it through laughter and the mask of
what's a trauma response,
false facade.
Yeah, I mean, I would dare say most comics have lived through most stuff they don't really want to talk about, and that's their outlet.
I would say you have to really enjoy writing things that maybe didn't happen to you, things that could have happened down the road. You have to really enjoy creative writing, fictional writing, and acting as if it is 100% fact. You have, storytelling has to be there, and try not to suck. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Do you have a hard time turning it off? Like when you it's downtime and you have family time, do you have a hard time going like, okay, I'm not on stage? Like, I don't need to be a comedian here in the room, or what do you think it is?
No, I don't try to turn it off. It's not really a, an on, like when
you have an on-off switch.
When I have with my on switch, when I'm on stage, I know what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to do, to one degree or another, depending on crowd reaction sometimes. And I got that good, 20 to 30 minute clip, and that's just 20 to 30 minutes of my life.
Right.
But that's bottling up of what I'm already doing on an everyday basis. That's trying to edit down what I've written and thought that's really funny. And geez, man, I could write down 2 hours and then just clip about 10 minutes of what I think might work with one certain crowd. And then, or, if I don't have a transition point that I think is correct, that doesn't work as even a conversation would with an audience, then I got to cut the whole thing. I got to scrap it, start over from new.
Right.
But I mean, I guess we do have family time here. But the baby doesn't know what I'm saying. He just looks at me. She's looking at me like, "Hey, who are you? Am I kidnapped? Is this what's going on?"
Like, no, but do you think it's like when she's older? My girls are older though. When you have to have a serious talk with her, are you going to be a comedian or a dad? That's the decision you got to kind of lead to.
Yeah. The serious talks involve what serious talks? What are you talking about?
Well, like with our girls, we really focused on like reflection on if something happened, right? Like if they did something negative or some teaching moment, there's a moment of like, why did you do that? Why did you think that was the best decision? And to me, if you slap it with comedy and try to make it light, you're just teaching a response instead of feelings, right? So that's going to be the challenge of like, do I comedy this to make it lighthearted? Because that's usually a response to something in life. Or like, are we going to talk about this? Are we going to like, what's your feelings in this? What are you feeling? Has to be switched.
Yeah. So, I mean, my take personally, what I think is, I think people inherently feel bad if they caused pain or anguish to others. It's just a natural empathy that we're all sort of born with. And if we're not, well, there's a bigger problem then.
Yeah, I think there's that great artist, man. He spent his whole life trying to draw like a child because an adult can't think like a child, right? And a child paints a certain way because they don't have ego or stroke. They don't criticize themselves. Mm-hmm. That's the reflection of adult compared to child. And that's the biggest struggle with being a parent, as you go through it, is you think like, oh, this person doesn't know what I know. Like this person doesn't, this is all new to them. That's the challenge of being a parent to me. Not saying you're doing something wrong, but that's the reflection point where you're
my only advice to anyone that ever does anything remotely terrible is acknowledging maybe they know that it's a bad thing. Maybe they know. So let's walk in with that mindset that let's assume they know that it's a bad thing. And then after we're already taking that into account, let's take that and roll with it this way and say something to this degree where you're just like, hey, it's a pretty terrible thing you did. I hope you know that. And if you don't know that, well, you should. Don't beat yourself up that much about it. Just learn from it. That maybe don't do that again, and you want to emphasize, in my opinion, that's just my opinion. Yeah. You want to emphasize because people can hold guilt and not be able to get over things because they're over punished and they'll stay there for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. That does happen as an adult, but when you're dealing with children, that's a whole, I mean, like
when you're, and it starts from childhood, it starts from childhood that if the person in charge says, hey, it's bad, but what's even worse is if you never forgive yourself and you can't move on.
Self-forgiveness. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So that's the only tone that I would use. I wouldn't want to, be stern enough to where now I'm creating a fearful environment and then they're afraid to even do anything around, be themselves or anything like that. So that would just be my personal take. And, it's not adding comedy onto it, but it's not adding too much, sternness to it. It's just treating a situation with, the longevity of how long people will remember you were, you did something bad. Like not too harsh, but Sparky's got something on the big board there. Sparky, what's going on? It says, Kevin's lessons in life. Let me teach you about a pyramid scheme. Is it going to fly away? Oh, no, it will not fly away.
Never know about those pyramids.
Ben, I literally told these guys to sign up for Robinhood for a little bit of like a $5 bonus they can get to invest in their future retirements. Right. And then they just couldn't stop talking about pyramid schemes. And I'm like, it's not though. It's literally the New York Stock Exchange. And
no, there was more than that.
There was how much more than that?
Oh, there's quite a bit more than that.
I literally told you to buy Dogcoin. You did. Yeah. You made $1,000. Yeah. I mean,
when let go between the three of you. 10 years from now, I'll still be talking about it. And so
I know.
It's
yeah.
It's
Ben, with the biggest hit names in music right now, who do you think is not necessarily at the top of their game, especially when it comes to country bluegrass and
I mean, it's more in the Americana. It would be Sierra Farrell, I think, right now. I think anything she touches right now is just beautiful, and she's got a lot of musicians behind her that are really good. She's got songwriters around her that are good. She's got a beautiful voice, and I think she's rolling. I mean, I don't think she's to the top of what she's going to do yet, but I think she's one that, she's honest. I mean, she's honest about her struggles. She's honest about her addictions, like we've just talked about, and I think you can hear it in her voice. I mean, like the biggest thing I'm noticing right now in some music is I have a hard time believing 19-year-olds at a bar drinking a bottle of whiskey with maxed out credit cards, or, or things like that. Like, that's the thing where, like, maybe it's just I'm becoming an old curmudgeon, with that. But I'm like, I want all art to be truthful. I want all art, Kevin, I want your comedy to be from something you've lived through. I want like a painter to be something they've seen, and I want to believe it and know that it's true to their heart, and maybe that is.
A painter can paint something they've never seen before, and that is called creativity still, because you are creating something from absolutely nothing.
Yeah, boy, I got to ask the ultimate question. How do you feel about Taylor Swift?
Man, I like Taylor Swift. I think
that is not the ultimate question. The ultimate question is, country music star of the year, Beyonce.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's interesting, man. Like that, who's to say? Because I talked to somebody about this the other day. Like, who's to say she's not country to somebody else? I don't know. I mean, like, is it regional? Is it where you're from? I don't.
It's as much as Chris Grimes is punk rock.
That's probably true. So, I mean,
Sparky does have it on the big board. What do you got, Spark? The only artist that everybody is talking about, what he touches. So, Mr. Diddy, what is a freak off?
What is a freak off? Ben, what's your take on the P. Diddy situation there? Are you keeping up with the trial?
I'll tell you the crazy. I played a show in Texas in December, and somebody was talking about Jamie. We were talking about Jamie Foxx because that's when he had his, everything happened. Yeah. And my buddy looked at me. He's like, Diddy did it. And this was when nothing was out. I mean, nobody had said anything. He's like, don't be fooled to what Diddy's been doing. And I was like, no way, man. Like, that guy's got a big empire, everything. And like, son of a bitch, he was right. I'll say this. I think if you're drugging anybody for anything, you deserve to go to jail for the rest of your life. And I hope that's where that man ends up. For if even if an ounce of it or one story is true, I hope he's in jail for the rest of his life.
There's a lot of clips where he's publicly confessed things that are crimes, and everyone's attitude towards it at that time was that's a Hollywood party for you, or that's how things go at a mansion, those
he
stars
would never do that.
Well, man, I'll say, here's my political thing. I'll say is, this is like two, because you remember through that, like the movement of that, who's that director that was not director, but he owned
Harvey Weinstein.
Weinstein, like, people in Hollywood shouldn't be preaching to you about morals if they're turning the blind eye to that shit going on.
Huge.
That's what I'll say. Like, if it seems like everybody knew what was going on in all those things, and like, if they're going to give moral advice, they need to turn the mirror on themselves.
Absolutely. Harvey Weinstein, by the way, was celebrated by lawmakers. I mean, I'll keep it at that lawmaker idea. That people that were eventually going to arrest him, he was celebrated by, until enough women came. Bill Cosby, the Bill Cosby situation had been going on since the mid 80s. Right. And no one believed it, because, Bill Cosby is just one of the funniest people of all time.
Right.
And that's a fact. You could, watch his shows minus the rape accusations, and you're like, wow, this guy doesn't curse. His story. When I was teaching comedy classes, I always used Bill Cosby as an example of how to tell a story. He had three jokes in an hour and 20 minutes. 3 jokes only. Okay.
Yeah,
and it lasted an hour and 15 minutes. 3 stories.
Yeah.
And everybody that was watching him, including myself, was hanging on each word he was saying, each facial expression that was constructed, and each story twist, and what could have happened, and what was running through his mind at the time. Everyone was involved in it. And the reasoning for it, he's got something that, as you know, as a musician, it's the power of silence in between. Nothing. Radar Love even has that. Remember the song Radar Love?
Yeah, by Gold Earring. Yeah.
Golden Earring. They have a silence, and then everyone's waiting for it because they're so used to it being there. And then when it comes back, it's inherent in us to get back with the beat even more. Bill Cosby knew that. A couple other public speakers also knew that, but he was funny about it in a very unique way at the time, to the point where it reminds me, remember that old Total Bowl commercial, the Total cereal?
Yeah.
You know, you could have 15 bowls of cornflakes or 1 bowl of Total. Remember that?
Yeah.
His accusations reminded me of that commercial where they're like, what if we told you 27 women? And you're like, man.
Yeah,
no.
But man, that's how bad that industry is. Because I mean, you take how I write music, and I come from the school of Richard Pryor. Like that was that was whose comedy I loved, because it went everywhere. You know what I mean? Like he would move so quick and went everywhere. But like Pryor just freebased cocaine. He didn't rape anybody. You know, he had a horrible, but it's amazing of the moral police that they have in art, of like that comes up where it's like, how did that, I mean, back to what we were talking about, like how many people turned a blind eye to that shit going on, and that's where I struggle with those stories, because it's a whole, I think
it's a whole other level. It's a whole other level of living all around. You have a culture changing icon like Bill Cosby. Okay. He did do that. And then you have one woman accusing him of something, and all of his friends, all millionaires, everyone knows they can have Bill Cosby as a friend and do a show for him or whatever. They can get something from each one of them. And one woman comes by and says, oh, he did this. And they're going to look at her and say, move along.
Yeah.
Before we call the police. A second woman, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth.
There's a lot of big stories that are even out there. And like we've covered quite a bit, as far as like either Kanye or Lizzo.
Right.
Like let's take Lizzo, for instance. I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you've been with her, Ben, even at all.
I don't. I mean, Kanye I could talk about because I listened to him for so long, but
he goes off on a whole different tangent. Maybe that's a whole different show in general. Yeah. But Lizzo last year had
it's a whole different show. He loves Kanye.
She was accused of torturing. Torturing her staff. Of course, while they were on tour, with sexual inanimate objects and blah 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 blah, fat shaming, and then she came out with she never ever came out with anything that was like, well, I never did that. Yeah. She was just like, oh, those accusations are so ludicrous. I can't believe that someone would say that about me.
Do you think, though, on this P. Diddy stuff, they've even scratched the surface of what was done, though?
Oh, God, no. No.
Like, I think this is a whole other level of something we haven't seen.
Well,
that
we
whole
do
situation's just a whole different ball game of a train wreck.
What we do know is R. Kelly's in jail, and they probably talked to him for a little bit, and he probably talked a little bit too, and P. Diddy's name came up. Cops probably lied to him. They said, "Listen, you help us out, we'll help you out," and he helped them out. They said,
"Were they together? Was R. Kelly with P. Diddy? I don't remember if he was part of that."
Well, when you're in that same Hollywood realm, you hear stuff, and if you get a tip and you think it's going to help you when it comes to child trafficking, the difference between R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein is, I think one owned the island and the other one rented. I'm not sure. Whoa, Sparky, what's going on here? Weinstein, Epstein, R. Kelly, Diddy. That's how it went. Something like that.
That's the family tree right there.
Something like that. But when police in that same area now have information on another R&B singer producer who went to Howard University, very rich parents, well off. If you could take all that wealth back and just, auction it off and,
there's quite a few names that are coming out in the wash with the whole P. Diddy thing, though. Including Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx was.
And Ben, this is probably why, you are not a household name. You didn't go to any Diddy parties, did you?
Man, no.
See, this is why, Tony. This is what's going.
I love the music he put out, but I'm not streaming it right now after that. No. Why would you do man, that's the evil of evil. You can't even joke about it. It's so evil, and some of that stuff, it's just beyond, it's but the crazy thing, man, I watched a special on that the other day, and they make an accusation and then PD did come out and be like, I never did that. Then they'd show the tape and be like, well, I'm sorry, that was the worst behavior I could have done. And there's only so many layers of a burrito before that burrito explodes. It just, we're
they're like, but Mr. Diddy, you, Sean, if I may, you have thousands of DVDs of you doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that wasn't me. Okay. So in these DVDs at the beginning of them, you're saying this is Sean Combs doing some illegal shit. How much more? They didn't give him bail. They are not allowing him to have bail as a millionaire. That's when you know something's wrong.
Right.
Michael Jackson allowed freely out, request on his own recognizances, could go out and tour, while the investigation's going on. R. Kelly even got a small amount. This guy's not getting out. They are not letting him out at all. They're trying to link him to not just the sexual misconduct, the harassment, the potentials of many, many rapes. That's what they can get him on. What they can't get him on are rappers and other artists disappearing. Right. Thank you, Sparky, Tupac, Biggie, Freak-Offs. See, these two situations, people are like, hey, the one thing Tupac and Biggie had in common, and Suge Knight, Puff Daddy, what's he doing roaming around? And I think it's going to eventually get back to Snoop Dogg, where Snoop Dogg killed a man.
Don't be hating on Snoop Dogg.
He killed a man in daylight.
No, there's no hating on Snoop Dogg.
He killed a man in broad daylight in 1993. Martha Stewart did more time. Martha Stewart did more time than Snoop Dogg. No hate, but many witnesses. He was out of jail like that.
I think his security guard took the rap on that one. If I remember my history right.
He paid his security guard to take a rap for him.
Yeah. If I remember right. But man, here's the deal. In my mind, I think, Snoop runs that little league for kids in football. I mean, he does a lot of community work that maybe guilt caught up to him a little bit on that. But this went the other way. It got worse. It didn't get redemption. It got worse, and I think that's maybe the sign of people, of what they're, that's, and I'm sure that's not what you guys wanted to talk about, but that's, to me, what I was going to say is that's an evil you can't even, we'll never know it. We'll never know the depths of that evil.
P. Diddy had his own special, size of baby lotion provided by Johnson & Johnson. He was like, just give me the Diddy, and they would give him 7 pounds.
Now, there is an alleged list of all of the people that were at these supposed freak-off parties. Some of the names contain, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Ashton Kutcher, Paris Hilton, Howard Stern, Russell Brand, Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez, Russell Simmons, Usher, Megan Fox, Usher, and Pink.
Well, yeah, but they filmed every party. That's the thing. Is all the
100%.
That's the every party's filmed. And then Jamie Foxx, when you read on it, he had a production company filming everything he went to. So that's where I think that my friend may have been right when he said that.
Oh yeah, it's well documented. Moving on real quick to your one of your favorites and America's favorite, Taylor Swift. Human Remains. discovered near Taylor Swift's home sparked more serial killer fears after 12 people found dead in the area. Now, was it Taylor Swift being the serial killer, or was it another tight end in the NFL murdering people? Travis Kelce. Aaron Hernandez was known to be a serial killer. He killed a lot of people. Tight end for the Super Bowl winning New England Patriots. Is Travis Kelce following in the Aaron Hernandez footsteps and killing people and burying them around the house of Taylor Swift?
I got a deeper question on Taylor Swift. Do you think she'll ever take it back? The success she's had, of the life she's been run through, the gamut of,
no way.
So yeah, I think there are some people that her parents bred her to do it big time.
Of course.
They put a guitar in her hand at the age of 5, and they're like, "Hey, look at our daughter's going to play the 2 notes we showed her."
Look at all the songs she wrote.
it's a unethical, is a very fun word to use. It's a sick competition when people are doing that with their kids, but it's necessary if you want them to be at the top. She's going to be a billionaire if she isn't already right now. Ben, you've been going since you were 15 years old. You took 20 years off, and now you have made it to the peak of your career on the Podguyz Podcast.
There you go. Yeah.
It's all downhill from here.
It's all going down. Yeah. I'm going to go grab a drink after this.
Before we end this show, Sparky's got one more diddler on his whiteboard.
Are you on the list? And she says, "I am Jennifer Lopez. Taco, taco, burrito, burrito." A little bit of South Park right there.
Yeah, but I think P. Diddy was dating Lopez at the time. Especially, like that. I mean, I think there's more in all that than anybody wants to. But the thing that's going to be interesting is how many politicians were at those parties.
Whoa, unimaginable.
I don't know if politicians go to parties like that, but a lot of people,
I don't know. They went to Epstein Island, so
yeah, they took the money, and a lot of them went to Epstein's Island, for sure.
The only thing I could really suggest people to go to is bengarciamusic.com to check out all of your upcoming dates throughout the Northwestern territory of the United States of America. That's definitely one place to go to. Am I right, Ben?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
No bias. You're not biased. You're all about it too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're probably the best on the tour, right? You're
Oh no, I'm opening for some really great acts on that thing too. So yeah.
You hear that? He's the best on the tour, everybody. No,
yeah.
Who are you opening for?
Could be a questionable thing. What's that?
Hey man, openers set the tone. I went to a concert. I went to so many Tom Petty concerts, and best opener for Tom Petty, Jackson Browne. Loved it. Amazing. Outstanding. Worst opener for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the Black Crowes. Holy shit.
What?
Yeah. Wow. Just awful. Why don't you guys just...
When did you see them? What year was that?
Oh my God. So let me see here. This was 2000, 2002, 2003, 2005, 2008.
That wasn't their best years of playing.
Black Crowes?
Yeah.
Jackson Browne was in his 60s, dude, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
These guys are younger and in their worst years.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that they're doing well now. That ego train they were on at that point of their lives is not.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it because, nothing more like doing 3 songs. And then, I could tell by song 2, I'm like, I think they're drunk. Right now.
They might be.
And then by song 3 is like, yeah. Then by song 4, they did song 1 again. And I'm like, oh.
Yep, time to get it over with.
We're reading that book right now on them, and there's fistfights backstage during that time frame. There's legit stuff going on, that causes a lot of that stuff, and so like we talked about it earlier with being on stage and drinking, that's the stuff that gets you. You forget why you're doing it. You forget when you're a child and you dream about being on stage. and having that moment of people listening to what you have to say and you override it with your ego. That's what
Oasis with the Gallagher brothers,
Yeah, man.
Oh,
I love that story. Have you ever heard the story about when they did Unplugged and they're fighting? And then the brothers like sitting there smoking a joint and drinking a beer and booing him during the
he left. He's like, you sing it then.
Yeah, I mean, and then he goes and smokes. He's like, I smoked a spliff, and then he's like, it's just like it's the best brother story ever. He's booing his brother on Unplugged. Like
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, weren't they going to tour again? And then they never did. I heard all this. They were going to play another show, and then they never did.
And they're it's all these bands from the 90s that end up doing that. And I'm going to include Guns N' Roses into that idea. The last hit song Guns N' Roses had, and I'm not counting Chinese Democracy at all. Okay, not going to count it.
November Rain.
I think it was Patience actually, 1992, because November Rain was done before that.
No, Patience came out and Use Your Illusion. It came out. Use Your Illusion was November Rain. That would have been 92.
It's still like you're talking 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago, where people are like waiting for what? They had Guns N' Roses had, again, what I like to call a good 7 years.
Yeah.
And,
they rode
made
that fame train till it died and came derailed.
They made Vancouver. They made Canadians lose their fucking mind.
Yeah.
The Vancouver riots. Are you familiar with the Vancouver riots? So they didn't show up. They didn't show up. And then they agreed as a part of their fucking contract. They're like, don't worry. We'll next year we're doing it and blah, blah, blah. And then they didn't show up again.
Fucking
like, you fucking assholes. They made back-to-back riots in Vancouver, having every Canadian lose their shit twice. People died while at a concert for nothing. The worst part was there was no music to this fucking festival of beating the hell out of each other. This Royal Rumble of everyday.
People forget when they were a kid and they dreamed of being at that moment. I mean, you pick the art. That's the thing, is you lose track of why you were 14 sitting in the mirror pretending like you're playing in front of thousands of people. That's the shit where that happens, where people just get lost in it. And so
a politician list from P. Diddy party. What is in common?
What's in common? Yeah.
Money. That's what I would. They were drawing so much money at that time. That'd be my conclusion.
You ready?
Ready.
Yep.
Barack Obama.
Okay.
Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
Andrew Cuomo.
Cool.
Cory Booker.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Wrangler. Maxine Waters.
Okay.
Ron Emanuel, the former mayor of Chicago. Michael Bloomberg. Eric Adams. John Kerry. Deval Patrick.
Okay, so Sparky, I think what you're describing here, and I'm going to interrupt you real quick, only because I have to dismiss it a little bit. Finding a Democrat in California is like finding a cat in the alleyway. There's going to be one no matter what. Okay, so for them to be invited
there's only one problem though, Kevin.
What's the one problem?
They're all Democrats so far. Them going down the list.
Yeah, I could name a party that Michael Vick had, and they're going to all be Republicans in Georgia. Like.
Location. You know what we do need to do? We need to end this show.
We need to, yeah. On that note.
I think no matter if it's Michael Vick or Pete, it all comes down to money, funding.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's the shitty part of the whole thing.
Ben, where is your money at? Where can people reach you? Where can they get in touch with you
man.
In order to book a show?
Yeah, Instagram is a great way at Ben Garcia Music. Facebook, Ben Garcia Music, or our webpage, bengarciamusic.com is the best way to reach that. To book us or to come see a show. I mean, come to a show, come talk to us, come to the merch table, hang out with us and tell us your story and what you like. That's my favorite thing, is hanging out with people after.
You have a manager, PR guy, right?
I have a booking agent. Yeah, that's on the webpage for sure. Yep. And then she does that. And then I have a PR guy too, for sure. So he's brilliant at what he does. And so yeah, really, really
awesome.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thanks for having me on, guys. I hope it stayed where you thought it was gonna be. Like we did some music and then some of the whole world, you know.
Yeah, no, man.
True.
No,
That's
this isn't just. Listen, we already know your music is great, but people don't know how you feel about stuff, how cool of a hang you are as far as a person goes. So, people could listen to the music and say, wow, you know what? This is good. But
he's a human being.
I wonder what the guys like to hang out with. And this is kind of giving everybody a look at how that is. And
I think the thing that we got to remember in this country is we can all talk and get along and laugh, and even if we disagree on something, still find respect and common ground for each other. Of like, we all don't need to have the same opinion, but I think we're coming dangerously close to people telling us we need to have the same opinion. I
always say that, there could be people that have two opposing opinions, and they both make good points. So what's wrong with two people making good points about something that are completely opposite?
I know, like Kevin hates fries, I like chips.
Yeah. I'm an onion ring kind of guy, so we just made the whole show.
Onion rings. You don't even get a good bite out of the goddamn
I know,
thing.
who are you?
Bite, the ring comes out, the whole thing hits you in the face. It's terrible. Well, we should cancel Ben Garcia now because of onion rings.
Now it's still not air because of my onion ring for sure.
No, go check out Ben Garcia's music, of course, on Spotify. Anything that you'd like to stream your music on, of course, iHeartRadio, Spotify, whatever it might be. Some great stuff on there.
Thanks, guys. What kind of music do you guys listen to? Like, what's your go-to kind of music?
Pearl Jam was my my jam back in the day. So I was a big fan of Temple of the Dog and Pearl Jam, and like even their new stuff, it's all right. But of course, they hit their heavy stride back in the 80s, 90s. So
I'll go by what I've been listening to recently. Most recently, of course, Bob Dylan, just to start things off, and Tears for Fears. That's some good stuff. Really, really solid stuff. The War on Drugs.
Great
underrated all around. I mean, yeah, I could listen to some older Beck kind of stuff. But I don't know.
Great album. Odelay is a fantastic album Beck put out. That's all that Beck stuff, early stuff around there is fantastic too.
Odelay,
I've been listening to this great band. I don't know if you guys are so much into like the Sum 41 type of era, not to say like emo pop type stuff, but the Paradox.
Oh really?
Oh, love them. Great band. They're hitting their stride right now, like just hitting the airwaves and hitting like millions of listens.
Yeah. It's I could jam out to The Weeknd. He's pretty good stuff. It's listenable. It's an easy listen right there.
There's a country band that did one of his songs, and it's a great cut. Like The Weeknd's a talented artist.
I remapped out his Save Your Tears on piano and slowed it the fuck down big time, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that it was a really really good take on the idea. And then when I heard the actual song, I'm like, whoa, totally. These are two totally different songs, same lyrics and stuff, but one just very very heartfelt from my end, just for a hobby, music is never going to be my ultimate goal. Ultimate goal is to get a Netflix special and then fade off into a desolate reality or whatever the hell. You get one special, sort of thing.
Yeah. But John Mulaney made his work really well for him, in those specials, and then he had some stuff in between. So.
Yeah, Mulaney does. He does a lot of repeating scenario, which it's an attention getter. He'll do this.
Got that from? Like, you've taught comedy. Where did he pull that from?
So it's basically a louder version of Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld's got a very casual way. Yeah. You ever meet a girl online and she's really 15 and then you walk in there, it's Chris Hansen. Oh my God. You're like, God damn it, Jerry. What? Because don't forget, he also dated a 16-year-old while being 34.
Yeah, he did.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. Anyways, another show at another time.
Yeah.
Sparky, where can you happen to find us if you were looking for us?
You can find us on every single major streaming platform, which includes iHeart, Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Facebook
YouTube.
Live Video, Google, YouTube, Amazon. You on Amazon still?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything and anything, buddy.
Yeah, so we're everywhere. You can find our merchandise on our Facebook homepage.
Yep.
Yep.
Super. Big shout out, Ben Garcia. Thank you very much for coming on the show, taking your time out as well. Super important, man. That's all we have is time. So
thank you guys for having me. It was a blast. It was fun. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you, sir.
All right, guys.
Guys, check into us next week. Of course, another great guest planned out. I am Tony Kaz.
Kevin Nearier.
Of course, the ever-loving Picasso.
Sparky.
All right, guys. We are the Podguyz Podcast. Check us out every week, Monday night, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. We'll catch you soon. Have a great night. Bye.